how's it going? Welcome back. It's Mia, and today we are discussing The Bad Batch Season 2, Episodes 10 and 11. And towards the end, since we're getting close to the end of the season, I'll be making some predictions-ish about where I think that this season is going to go based on we've basically watched a good 2/3 of this season already. So I think I might know where this is going to go. Let's see. But number one, let's just briefly discuss episode 10. To be honest, I wasn't expecting a lot out of episode 10, mostly because episode 9 just felt like your typical filler. But I was just surprised to see that they left it off on a cliffhanger. So we knew pretty much that the cliffhanger would be resolved, that everybody would make it back safe. And so it was just a standard filler episode. I don't think it was anything too spectacular. The only thing I did I liked that they had Yuri Lowenthal in this as Benny. You know, he is the voice of Sasuke from Naruto. And, you know, most recently, like Peter Parker and PlayStation Spider-Man. And so I was like, I really love Yuri Lowenthal's voice, like 100%. That to me is just what made this episode special. And I don't have much else to say about episode 10. Now I will say episode 11 picked up the pace a lot. I ended up watching this before The Mandalorian because I was like, you know what, I want to knock this out of the way, 2 birds with 1 stone, and maybe if I watch The Bad Batch first, it might lower my expectations for Mando and make it so much more rewarding. I know that sucks. But so anyway, that's just how I went into it. And I was actually quite surprised. I was kind of taken away by the beginning of episode 11. It really drew me in. And I was like, did the producers know that this episode would be dropped simultaneously with The Mandalorian? And so they knew they would have to step it up. Number one, I do think that that's a tragedy that both of these are coming out on the same night. But also, I mean, I just think that as a little sidebar, I really think that Disney and Lucasfilm don't really know what to do with The Bad Batch. I kind of talked about that in my last episode. It just seems like they don't know what to do with The Bad Batch. And so having that being synced up with The Mandalorian Season 3, it's bad news bears, but we already knew it's not getting the attention that it could be getting compared to The Mandalorian. So, hey, it's just the people who are going to watch The Bad Batch are still going to watch it. But it's definitely not going to be the talk of the town the way Mando Season 3 is. Anyway, coming off of that sidebar, yeah, I did like the way that episode 11 opened up. It was really, kind of thrilling. You're wondering what this mystery is, and now all of a sudden we've even got some lore building because Nala Se is locked up at a facility with the Empire. I love whenever they bring the Empire into this, of course. And so, the Empire needs her for something, right? Got to deal with cloning technology, right? So they built up this mystery, and I think it was really good right out of the gate. Unfortunately, I think things took a dive in the middle of the episode. I kind of lost interest there. I do like as they kind of explored what's going on with this Camino and tech and stuff like that. I think that was an interesting plot as they kind of dropped some little clues about this lore that they were building up, but the whole monster thing kind of lost me. They tried to harken it back to Alien. That was a very blatant kind of reference. I do like that they did that. They had some fun with it, but it wasn't enough to keep me drawn and sucked into it. I'm not like a monster kind of person. I don't really find that stuff interesting. So I fell out. I tapped out, or at least my interest tapped out around that point. But they did bring it back around towards the end of the episode. Once the Empire finally came, they rounded everyone up. Like after that, when they brought in the Prime Minister, and that Empire officer was talking to the Prime Minister, and I was like, okay, I wonder, because we knew the Prime Minister had been kind of shady. So I was like, are they going to keep him that way, or now that his planet has been destroyed, is he maybe going to be a little bit more redeemed, or, a little bit softer? So I'm glad that they kept him being shady, because that really helps with the plot, right? The Empire officer was like, hey, we want compliance with Nala Se. What can you do to help us? And he's like, well, if you free me, I'll let you know. And so he spilled that information about there's a child that she really, really likes, and we know that's Omega. And so now I think that's really exciting. The plot is heating up, just, in the fact that the Empire will be hunting Omega, or looking for her, on top of the whole fact that they were already unknowingly chasing after the Bad Batch anyway, just because when the Empire was, raiding and rounding up that village, the Bad Batch escaped, and so they're looking for that rogue ship. very well done. So yeah, I like that. And of course, as they towards the end of the episode, they discovered all of that stuff about the Camino and technology, why it was there, and Tech kind of discovering that the Emperor had kind of had this plan put in place even before he was emperor, and basically he wanted to siege the Camino and technology for himself so that the Empire could use it and they could start using that, weaponizing whatever they come across and get their hands on. So I thought that was an awesome plot point, and it's even bringing me back to some of the stuff in The Mandalorian, because we knew that we began to learn through The Mandalorian that the Emperor was looking into cloning technology, or at least the Empire was looking into cloning technology. So I like where they're going with this. I like when we get episodes where we can both introduce new lore and move the story along. I'm like, that is what I'm talking about, Bad Batch. But yeah, it just seems like so often now it feels like we kind of get somewhere with the Bad Batch, we get a little bit of storyline, and then it just comes to a complete halt. Like, we'll get something, and no, we gotta have filler. We get somewhere else, and no, we gotta have filler. So it's like, I wish, like, to me, there's so many things going on just within this season, the Bad Batch season 2. I wish that they had just introduced this plot like way earlier. Like, hey, this is the episode, or this is the season where the Empire is looking for Omega, or there's some other stuff where I wish, like I said, this is the season where the Bad Batch are going to evade the Empire and go help some of the little people free themselves from the Empire, or try to, do what they can, right? So yeah, it's just like there's no simple way to describe what is going on in season 2 of the Bad Batch. And yeah, I'm just hoping that they can maybe clear things up next season and make it a little more cohesive next season, where we don't keep having all these stop and goes. But I don't necessarily think that is going to change next season. I think the format will be very much the same, where we have, these stretches of like, you maybe get one nice little tidbit of lore, and then we've got 3 episodes of filler, and then, maybe 1 or 2 episodes where we really drive the lore, and then again, we're going to filler, which is why, like I said, I really wish they would just release all the Bad Batch at once, every single episode. That way you can control the pacing and it doesn't feel as stalled because you're waiting every single week for something new to drop. Now here's another thing that I'm wondering, because the Bad Batch were rather cross with Sid in this episode because they were depending on Sid to rescue them, and then they basically had to do it themselves. And so they were like, this is the last mission, Sid, or at least internally they're like, this is our last mission. We can't let her double cross us like this again. They're not even double cross, just kind of like, hey, she's in it for herself. So what does she have to care for the Bad Batch? And I'm like, that's fine and all, but I feel like this is like the 2nd or 3rd time where the Bad Batch has done this. Even within the first season, it's like, okay, we're just going to do one more Sid mission and then that's it. So I will be very surprised if this is the last time that they hear from Sid, because I just feel like the Bad Batch as a whole, both as a group and as the TV show, has a dependency on Sid. They have a dependency on these side missions and having these filler episodes. So like I said, I will be very surprised if they do end up dropping her, but it to me sounds like it is either a bunch of baloney or they'll just go and find someone else that they can take, their weekly missions from. Because I don't see that changing anytime soon. Also, again, I wrote in my notes, I was like, Crosshair better be in this episode. And that to me is just baffling that, again, they keep benching their absolute best, most interesting, complex character. I'm like, to get rid of both Crosshair and Echo, even though Echo doesn't really do anything, I don't really think he contributes that much to the group to begin with, but just to both be kind of putting them on the chopping block, I'm not really sure where their mind is at with that. I was like, realistically, Crosshair should be the B plot for every episode. It's interesting and move the story forward, and it feels like they just kind of forgot about him. So that is just a baffling choice to me, because I think he's a really great character, and I can't believe they're really dropping him out of the frame in this season. And it's like, it's weird because it's like when the Bad Batch is good, like with season 7 and 8, or episode 7 and 8 of this season, it's really, really good. But when it's bad, it's bad. So where do we go from here? This is me using my prediction brain to see where this is all gonna go, because we've got about 5 episodes left in the season. That's still like 5 weeks worth of telly, my goodness. So I'm willing to say that in general, I'm thinking 12, 13, and 14 will be filler. It's just kind of, I think this was the big driving point episode, like a tentpole episode, and because we got some storyline, right? We know that the Bad Batch are going to be hunted by the Empire. It's time to listen. I'm the writer of the Bad Batch, and that's going to come to a stop. We cannot progress the story anymore to this point. You're going to have to hang on to that. And I think the stuff that we heard about in this episode, it probably won't get resolved or addressed until, like, seriously addressed until episodes 15 and 16. I'm perhaps hoping that episode 12 is going to be a Crosshair episode, just because it seems like he's just getting his own episodes. He's not really being mixed into the batch, that much. But at least please just give us another Crosshair episode. I'm begging you. And yeah, like I said, I'm thinking, so 12 Crosshair, 13, 14, just some random filler episodes, and then 15, 16 is when things finally start to wrap up. We might even get kind of like a 2-parter episode, just, to resolve everything that we've gone through, and then hopefully hand off to season 3, which I'm sure they'll get a season 3. I don't think they're quite done yet telling this story. So we will see, guys. Let me know what you think about the progression of the Bad Batch and where we'll be heading in this kind of last quarter of the series. Hey, it's an interesting ride, and I like the stuff that they do drop, but I think for sure this is definitely going to get overshadowed by The Mandalorian. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Please leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe for more, because we are reviewing The Mandalorian every week, and I know you want to hear my thoughts about that. So please stick around for a lot more Star Wars conversation, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.